behalf of Mayor Purcell, Nashville City Council, and Library Director Donna Nicely, I'd like to welcome you to this afternoon's program entitled Baseball Then and Now, from the Negro Leagues to the Major Leagues. Donna had planned on being here to welcome you herself, but she called me this morning and she's got the flu and asked if I would pinch hit for her today. So I said, oh, that's a baseball joke, pinch hit. Get it? And she knew I'm a big baseball fan, so I said, sure, I'd be glad to do it. I grew up here in Nashville and started playing baseball when I was 8 years old. I've loved the game ever since, and I would have gone on to be a professional player, except I just wasn't good enough. So I'm here today. These guys are. These players to my left here are the best of their generation. And we're here today to not only honor baseball, but to pay tribute to the men who have passed the game on to the next generation. And so to introduce them, I would like to bring Andrea Blackman from the Civil Rights Room.
Thank you. Today's program can be summed with a quote by the Director of Research for the Negro League Baseball Museum, James Riley. And the quote goes, "As it first flowed from its origin, the river of baseball history diverged at one point and formed a separate branch that paralleled the mainstream for a half a century, until finally the waters were rejoined, making the river whole again." African Americans in baseball have gone through various stages as far back as the Civil War, with black players on white teams, to black teams in white leagues, to rivalry between independent teams, to the formation of the black leagues, and then from desegregation to now African American umpires. It's befitting to recognize these gentlemen here today on the 85th anniversary of the formation of the Negro National League. Our panelists today include moderator Dwight Lewis, columnist, author, regional editor, and member of the editorial board of the Tennessean. Our panelists include Mr. Sidney Bunch, Nashville native, played center field throughout his career, which spanned from 1946 and 1958. He played with the Baltimore Elite, Birmingham Black Barons, and two Nashville teams, the Cubs and also the Stars. And I would also like to note that Mr. Bunch played football for the British Columbia Lions, the Canadian Football League. So before there was Michael Jordan and Bo Jackson, we have Sidney Bunch. We also have Mr. Clinton Butch McCord, a first baseman, followed up a 5-year stint in the Negro Leagues with a successful career in the minors. He made history by becoming the first minor league player to win 2 batting titles and Silver Glove awards in 2 consecutive years. We also have Mr. Jim Zapper Zapp, who was considered one of the most feared hitters in the league. During his career, from 1948 to 1954, he played primarily with the Birmingham Black Barons, where his teammates included now famous country music singer Mr. Charlie Pride, which we had hoped would have been here today as a surprise, but he couldn't be here. Mr. Zapp also became part of a local folklore while playing with the visiting team at Sulphur Dell. Although not officially on the record books, legend credits Zapp with hitting the longest home run in the history of Sulphur Dell. We also have with us Mr. Chuck Merriweather, who is also a Nashville native, has several professional milestones to go with the honor of calling the balls and the strikes during the 2004 World Series games. Mr. Merriweather moved up to the major leagues in 1993 after more than a decade in the American Association, Eastern, Midwest, and Pacific Coast Leagues. After the program, we invite each of you to join us for a wonderful reception in the conference room, which is right across the hall, what we feel is a day in the ballpark.
Last June, the public library sponsored a panel discussion out at the Old Green Hills Library, at the Archives. And it was a look back at baseball in Nashville. And we had Mr. Bunch, Mrs. Zapp, Mr. McCord, along with some former players for the old Nashville Vols, and the daughter of one of the former owners of the Vols. And we also had a person who's at this past year's Old Timers banquet here in Nashville. He's been there 67 years, Junie. But let me ask those members in the audience of the old Nashville Vols who are affiliated with the Vols in any way, would you stand, please? And there's also, in a column that I wrote in Thursday's Tennessean about some of the Negro League players, last February, I got a chance to go to the Tennessee Sports Hall of Fame banquet, and a former member of the Negro League's Henry Kimbrough was honored. He had died, and he was honored. But at that night at the banquet, there were 4 people there who had been affiliated with the old Negro Leagues: Butch McCord, Jim Zapp, and Mr. Bunch, and there was also Sue Bridgeforth. He has since died, but his wife is here today, this afternoon. Would you please stand? Okay, there she's in the back. And I want to recognize our Vice Mayor is in town. We're glad, Howard Gentry, Jr., glad that you've come out. But you know, it wouldn't be right, and there are some others who are worthy of mentioning, but I won't do that, but we're going to get to the panel. But first, it wouldn't be right if we started this panel discussion without standing up and singing, "Take Me Out to the Ball Game." Would you all stand? And being that Mr. Merriweather is the umpire in the major leagues and in charge of things, we'll let him start it off.
Take me out to the ball game.
Take me out to the crowd. Buy me some peanuts and Cracker Jacks. I don't care if I never get back. Foolish root for the home team. If they don't win, it's a shame. For it's 1, 2, 3 strikes, you're out at the old ball game. Thank you. Like Morgan Freeman in the video clip that was shown a few minutes ago, I too got a chance to see the old Indianapolis Clowns and the Birmingham Black Barons, and I was lucky that night at Bill Meyer Stadium in Knoxville to see Satchel Paige pitch for a little bit. But I want to do, I gather books. I've been knowing Butch McCord for a long time. In fact, played a little baseball under him. But I want to read a couple of passages from a couple of books I have up here. One is called Voices from the Negro Leagues, Conversations with 52 Standouts. And Butch McCord is included in this book, as is Sidney Bunch and Jim Zapp. Before 1946, Negro baseball was a separate entity from the white game. A few men began their careers in black baseball and then went on to organized ball. But these were Cubans who had no black ancestry and could pass. If, however, a player carried African characteristics, color, features, hair, and so on, he played in the Negro Leagues if he wanted to play baseball. The Negro team signed players on ability and potential, knowing that they would not be lured to organized ball. Over the years, minor attempts and a few queries were made by white teams into the availability of or desire by certain black players to perhaps play white ball. But although many knew the day would someday come, nothing materialized. Finally, baseball commissioner Kennesaw Mountain Landis died and A.B. Happy Chandler took the office. It was a new world, and Jackie Robinson's signing is one of the most important events of the 20th century. It was too late, however, for the veterans of the game, of the black game. Their abilities may still have been there, but their ages were against them. And then there's another book, and you all saw in one of the video clips a picture of Ernest Withers. Ernest Withers lived in Memphis, and he was a photographer. He photographed not only sports, but he also photographed the killing of Emmett Till in Mississippi. And he was also there when Martin Luther King Jr. was assassinated in April 1968 in Memphis. But this book just came out, and it's in bookstores. Negro League Baseball, Photographs by Ernest Withers, foreword by Willie Mays. And I just want to read that to you. I remember these pictures. Let's talk about these pictures here. I was there. Other people make a big deal about the history and all, but I was there. There's one here of me with the Chattanooga Choo-Choos. I was 16 then and bored, because it rained and rained all that season. They started me at shortstop, but I threw too hard, so they switched me to center. I threw harder than when I went to the majors, and boy, could I run. Wish I could run like that today. And the pitchers I knew I could hit, because they tried and knocked me down. That's all I had to do, throw, run, and hit. You do that, you can play anywhere. I remember we got to Dayton, and it was still raining, and we weren't getting paid because we were playing on the PC for a percentage of the gate. So I told my manager my dad wanted me home, and he believed me, so I went home. Then, after that, I played with the Barons. There's a picture of that here, too. I see Artie Wilson. He's still around. And Piper Davis. He was our manager. Playing at home in Birmingham was fun and easy. I just kept hitting the ball. Man, we went to all these places. Pittsburgh to play the Crawfords. Newark to play the Eagles. Cincinnati, Cleveland, Philadelphia. I came home, and my friends in high school were studying these places in class. I knew them from my job. The highlight of my Negro League career was the Little World Series in Memphis in 1948. I hit a double, and then Jim Zapp hit a home run, and we won. It came easy to me. The Negro League was a chance to make a little money doing something. I was good at it. That's what these pictures are all about. It's from Willie Mays. You all missed the treat Wednesday night. Was it Wednesday night? No? Monday night, over at Vanderbilt in Wilson Hall. Buck O'Neill, who Joe Biddle wrote about in the Tennessean today, was just outstanding. And Joe, you did a great job today with that. Thank you. But as the video was playing, Butch McCord wanted to yell out to you all, how many of you know anything about the Negro Leagues? And Butch, why is it important for people to know about the Negro Leagues?
Well, see, you broke up my my little thing here. See, I was gonna give him a teaspoon of information, but now I got to give him a half a teaspoon. How many know some How many know some Negro League baseball besides one sitting up here? How many ever seen one? How many ever saw a game in Silverdale? Let me see your hand. So, see, that I'm running my seminar, which is start for 101. I'm running 102 and 103, so y'all have to start at 101. So you didn't know what you were looking at up there. I wanted to see a little bit more where women were playing baseball back there, but you had to have 3 men on the team. And I wanted you to see that you would think right after slavery that all the people was illiterate. But you had people in the North, like Fleetwood Walker, who was, I guess was a free slave, was the first black to play Major League Ball in the Major League. But it wasn't called the American and National League. It was called the American Association. And they lived in Mount Pleasant, Ohio. Any teachers in here know what Mount Pleasant, Ohio is? If you do, raise your hand. Mount Pleasant, Ohio was a way station for the Underground Railroad where the slaves run away there and over into Canada. And Fleetwood and his brother went to Oberlin College, which was a prestigious college then. But you see, since I'm going to give you 101, my title is, I got a degree in QHSM, and I'm working on further. You know what that is? Senior moment and quarterheimers. Now, if I go further than quarterheimers, half-a-heimers, and I better be looking for a rest home because I might have Alzheimer's. But anyway, blacks played all the way. So I don't have time to get you. We're going to have a real thing, and you need to see these two tapes I got. You didn't get to see the historians like Riley there was from East Tennessee. He got, now if you want to read on some of Only the Ball is White by Robert Peterson, you might write it down. That's a good way to start. Don't Look Back by Mark Rybowski. That's Satchel Paige. Invisible Men by Don Robeson. And if you want to look in the library, see my good friend over there, when I talked to him, he didn't know that we had whites on the team. See, there ain't no other league in the United States like the Negro League. It was divided up in East and West, National League, American League. But at the teams out East, didn't make too many trips here. That's when you didn't get to see Josh Gibson that much hit. But you saw Kansas City, you saw, no, y'all didn't see anything because you didn't get to suffer there. You have to go by what I tell you. Is I got any more time, Brother Smith?
Yeah, we'll come back to you.
Okay.
But Mr. Zapp, you played baseball, and some of this we talked about last summer. You didn't make it to the majors. You stopped before you got a chance, before you went to the majors. What was baseball like playing for the Birmingham Black Barons? And what were some of the trips like?
Beg pardon?
When you played for the Birmingham Black Barons, and you played with, Mr. Zapp played with Charlie Pride and with Willie Mays, and he and Willie Mays are still good friends today. What was it like? What were some of the trips like? What was the Little World Series in 1948 like?
Well, the Birmingham Black Barons ball team in 1948 was a little different than most Negro League teams. We traveled in a first class bus. We stayed at the best hotels in the country. The only thing, we just couldn't stop and eat at restaurants, white restaurants at night. No other time really. But the Birmingham Black Barons of '48 was the greatest team that I ever played with, the greatest bunch of guys that I ever played with. And all are dead now, but 5 of us. That's Willie Mays, myself, Sammy Williams, Bill Greason, and Artie Wilson. But Mays and I, we stay in touch 4 or 5 times a year. We talk on the phone and everything. And he can't believe it's been 57 years since we played together. Mm-hmm. That's a long time. At that time he was 17 and I was 24.
Okay. Mr. Bunch, you started off as a bat boy for the Elite Giants, old Elite Giants.
Right.
And then you played for them for a while.
Yeah.
And then you played for the Birmingham Black Barons.
Right. I took Willie Mays' place.
Okay, you took Willie Mays' place.
Yeah. Me and Mr. Zapp played together.
All right.
But it was in the 50s.
Tell the audience about the time you finally signed a contract with the Dodgers.
How I got with the Dodgers?
Yeah. Recall the moment that you were playing with Birmingham and you all just gotten through with a baseball game.
Yeah.
And you were told that 2 white men or a white man was wanting to see you.
Oh, yeah.
And then maybe you can speak up for them.
Birmingham, the biggest crowd they ever had. So after the game, we was in the shower. Mr. Kimbrough come back to the dressing room and said, Bunch, there's 2 white fellas out here looking for you. Well, back then, I thought it was the police. So anyhow, I come on out and didn't get the soap off on me good. I was scared to death. He shook my hand and after he introduced himself, said, how would you like playing pro ball? I said, yes, sir, yes, because I come from a poor family, never had nothing. He says, you be ready Sunday. We're leaving airport out here on Murfreesboro Road. Got on a little Piper Cub plane. Went all the way to Montana. Got out there. I never heard of it. I was looking at and they introduced me to all the fans was there and thing. Little white boy come up and rubbed me and said, when you gonna turn that color? I kept hitting that ball. It didn't bother me. It didn't bother me. But the main thing, that first check I draw, it scared me. I went back to the office. Mr. Enright, I said, this is my check. He said, yeah, Bert, so you get paid on the 1st and the 15th. Had never seen that kind of money.
Okay.
I said, what is this, $150? He said, no, that's $1,500. You get it twice a month. I sent it home to my mama. She called back. She was working for the mayor, Ben West at that time. She called back and said, boy, we got a check here from the Brooklyn Dodgers farm team. I said, yes, ma'am. She said, hey, all this much money? I said, yeah, mama. She said, but you ain't stole none, nigga.
All right. Let me, Butch, all Jim Zapp, Sidney Bunch, and Butch McCord all grew up here in Nashville.
Yeah.
Mr. Butch McCord grew up over by the Coliseum, where the Coliseum is now. He started off playing softball, but he also would go watch the old Nashville Vols play. And many people may not know it, but some of the Negro League teams played in the Sulphurdale as well.
Yeah.
But Butch, can you talk about when Jackie Robinson signed? You had gone to Tennessee State on a football scholarship, then went to the military. You came back, and Jackie Robinson was signed to play in the minor leagues in '45, and then he made the majors. And that's how you started your route to in the Negro Leagues, right? What was it so important about going to the Negro Leagues for you?
Well, what's important is what we owe the man. The man, if y'all believe in Martin Luther King, then you sure can't leave Jackie out. Every time I read something, I almost cry about Jackie. Jackie, if you notice, all the good athletes, black athletes, came from the South. Yeah. Joe Louis, Alabama. Jackie Robinson, Georgia. Muhammad Ali, Louisville. Hank Aaron, Mobile. Satchel Paige, Mobile. Billy Williams, Mobile. Willie Mays, Alabama. And all your educators came from there too. Don't think they didn't. Because we had something to prove. All my life, I've been trying to prove that I belong. And then after they found out I belonged, I knew I was there. They knew then I found out I was better. Even at TSU, they said a Nashville boy can't make the football team. I made it.
Mm-hmm. Butch, for many of you may not know it, Butch made it he played in the old Negro Leagues for a while, but then he signed a major league, he signed with a team from the majors. And back then there were only 16 teams in the majors, not like the number we have today. Butch made it as far as AAA. He won several batting crowns. He also won several silver gloves as the best fielding first baseman. Butch did not make it to the majors. And one of the reasons, probably the most reasons, that there were a few black players in the minor leagues. Butch was supposed to have gone to Spokane, Washington to play in the Dodgers AAA farm system, but instead was left to go to Macon in the Sally League.
Let me tell you.
Okay, go ahead, pick it up, Butch.
You see, that's one reason I didn't like Pittsburgh when they working here, but some of my friends like Kurt Roberts got a chance to play with Pittsburgh. When I have to go all the way back to the Western League when I was playing with Denver. They bought my contract. I almost hit 400. I'm calling Zapp to have the record that he had because he was that player. I think he had 136 RBI, but I almost hit 400. The last 2 weeks I was hitting 401 in that league. And then I fell down to 392. And the reason Zapp got that thing, I was on base almost every time he hit got RBI. But that's one over down. Lou Johnson played it with the same team. Hit 336. He got to go to the major league. I hit 392. I got to go to the Western League. But Pittsburgh took over in my second year at Denver. But when I was at Denver, I got to meet Mar Wills. I got to meet Bill White. I got to play against him. My wife fixed breakfast for him in the morning because we would like this. We pulled for him. We told him what not to take over. We didn't want to tear down what Jackie had already established. We didn't create no dissension, and it was just like that with me in the league. I mean, I know you all whites talk about discrimination. Y'all don't know about no discrimination, especially when it's against a black, like affirmative action. Y'all don't know about that. You've never been discriminated against. It was just, it should be you're not eligible or there's not a vacancy. But if y'all going against each other, then it's discrimination because it's in the dictionary.
Tell them.
Now let me tell you something else. I'm going to put something on you because my good friend, the Vice Mayor, is over here. All right, I'm going to name some towns. Griffith Stadium. No, don't you all say nothing. Griffith Stadium. Shad Park. Polo Ground. Yankee Stadium. Crosby Field in Cincinnati. Suffolk Dale. Now, what does those cities have in common? Now, see, y'all worry about talking about procrastinating, talking about why blacks don't play no baseball. If I had time, I'd tell you why they don't play no baseball. But I don't have time. But those cities I just named, you know what they have in common? They were built in a black neighborhood. That's why we played baseball. Mm-hmm. Think about it. Okay. Suffolk Dale, North Nashville. Griffith Station, 2 or 3 blocks from Howard University. Think about it. Polo Ground, Yankee Stadium in Harlem.
Jim Zapp, in the days of the old Negro Leagues, there was a closeness amongst the ball players. Was that because you couldn't stay in any hotel that you wanted to, and you knew players from other teams? What brought about that closeness in the old Negro Leagues?
You became very close, especially if you were with a winning team. With a losing team, we weren't very close. See, the Birmingham Black Baron team of 48 was a winning team. Some great ball players. Why I didn't make the majors, I don't fault nobody but myself. I had the ability. Everyone, all the old timers say I had the ability, but I didn't have any sense. If they upset me about something, I would quit and go home because I knew somebody else would pick me up. But I think I should have made the majors because of the long ball, really.
You were one of the most feared hitters in Negro League baseball. How did you learn to hit so well?
Well, from the brickyard. Strong wrist. But I didn't start playing baseball until I was 19 in the Navy during World War II. When I signed with Eli Giants, I was stationed in Staten Island, New York, playing Navy ball in 1945. And when I came out of the Navy, I signed a contract with Baltimore. At that time, 1946, I was told by the general manager that I was the highest paid ball player that Eli had ever signed.
And what did you make?
$250 a month.
$250 a month.
Yeah. And so they sent me to Nashville with the Nashville Cubs. I played the full season of 46 for the Nashville Cubs. Then the following season, I went to Atlanta Black Crackers. But they had an owner in Atlanta who didn't like to pay off. You'd have to almost fight him to get your money. So when we made a trip to the East Coast in New York, my mother and sister were living there, so I just quit the Black Cracker Barons right there and got me a job in New York. But I loved Nashville so bad, so I ended up back in Nashville.
Okay. Chuck Merriweather, you've been in the major league umpire now for 10 years. You were in the minors for, I think, 10 years before that or so. You're a Nashville native, went to Father Ryan High School, then went to college down the road in Athens, Alabama. When you were coming along, had you heard of the old Negro Leagues?
Well, first of all, let me say that you owe me big for making me sing that song. I started to hit a bad note, so you couldn't, so I could really get you back. But you know, I was excited about coming here and just to be able to. I've had an opportunity to sit with these guys and talk to them from time to time. And yes, I knew about the Negro Leagues and would try to read up on it as much as I could. But a lot of times when I would go spend a little time with Butch here, he'd make me feel real bad because I didn't know nothing once he got through with me.
But Butch, let me ask, you know, when I was in the 5th grade, I remember seeing a film about Jackie Robinson's debut in the major leagues. And some places that he went, they would put black cats on the top of the dugout and all.
Oh, yeah.
The black cat was in the minor league, Montreal,
okay,
when they played Jersey City, and
okay,
somebody threw a black cat out there.
All right.
But what I was going to tell you a while ago about Pittsburgh, when Denver, they had 5 first basemen that I had to make to get there, because they wanted to use their ball player. Because see, I jumped the Negro League, and I just found out through reading in the book what happened to me then. I found out that, and I'm glad I did, because I was looking in this book and I saw Butch McCord, but this, I hope you all can get your computer and can get this book. It tells all the workings and everything, the transactions and all this, and this is where I found out what happened to me in the transaction. The man in Paris, Illinois, where we play, asked me to play it. I said, I'll play if I can play first base. That's the only regret that I had, that I never got to play first base in the Negro League, what I could do. But I did play outfield, and Mr. Kimbrough let me how to play outfield. But I had good hands. I believe if the ball touched your glove, you're supposed to catch it. But as I was saying about this Pittsburgh thing, they decided they had to take me. So I played first base when they needed me, and I pinched hit and everything, and I hit 358 in Denver. So that's the way I got to AAA. And when I got to AAA, I was the first black to play AAA ball in Richmond. And it's kind of lonesome when you're like that and you don't have. So that's when I'm with Jackie all the time, because I thought when once he got with the Dodgers that he was they treated him right, but he was under stress all the time, even when he was there. I found out after Branch Rickey, the president, quit. O'Malley was jealous of his relationship with Branch Rickey, and they had it. And then when Walt Austin, the manager, took over for them, they didn't get along. And Jackie, you know, he turned the cheek 2 years in a row, where he couldn't do nothing. And Richie Asman cut him at second base, and he got up and said, "I'm sorry, I cut that man." Jackie was laying on the thing before he recovered. His blood was running. But Rickey said, you cannot fight back. So when he started to fight back, he had a right to talk about what happened and protest things. And the people started saying, "Oh, he's a troublemaker. We'll go with Roy Campanella. He don't say much." But Jackie, Lou Gehrig was my role model, because I didn't know nothing about no Negro League play. I didn't know Buck Leonard was a black Lou Gehrig. When he went to the Army, you know, and they drafted him in 42. Jackie felt before he was drafted in the Army, said a black that didn't make no difference how much education he had and how much he wanted to play ball, he wasn't getting no job. That's the way he felt, and I have felt that. Jackie and I are similar. I don't know why it is, but I cry. I'm serious. I'm really worried about these black kids. And most of the guys is giving up on them. The man sitting back there is the head of the RBI, and I'm going to help him, because we're going to have to educate him. If you got any coaches over there that go to these churches, Instead of sending your missionary to Africa, send them to us, help us coach some of these black kids and get them and let them learn about their roots.
Okay. All right. Mr. Bunch.
Yes, sir.
You were a star football player in high school.
I was Pearl's captain 2 years.
Right. What made, Butch said he didn't know growing up, he would see Lou Gehrig play here and he would, you know, he was a clean liver and all, as far as Butch knew. Who was your role model? And why was baseball so important? And did you know much about the Negro Leagues growing up?
No, we played down in Sufferdale. Mr. Gibble would let us in there when they were taking batting practice, and we would run fly balls. But I always wanted to be like Shotgun Schubert or Pete Rose. I think the baseball outfit done Pete Rose dirty. The man didn't get caught gambling. They heard he was gambling. That's the same as a rat in the drawer, eating up all the clothes, but you didn't catch it.
You started playing in the Negro Leagues. You started off as a bat boy, as a teenager.
Yeah,
but you started playing when you were about 15.
15 with Mr. Bridgeford.
Who took care of you? And did your parents just let you go?
No, my parents didn't want me to play. Worst whooping I ever got, my mama come down there from church. I slipped off from Sunday school to play down Silverdale. She whooped me all the way home with a belt. Yeah, and all the boys mad. I didn't come back for about 2 months. But it helped me out.
All right. Mr. Merriweather, when you look, you know, this past fall, you were fortunate enough to be one of the umpires to call the World Series. You know, when Tiger Woods, I think when he won his first Masters, he said, I owe what I've done, what I'm doing to people like Ted Rhodes, Charlie Silford, and others. Do you ever think about, do you owe anything to Butch McCord, Jim Zapp, Sidney Bunch, Josh Gibson? Did they make the way easier for you? I know they weren't umpires in the majors, but do you think they made the road any easier for you?
Well, definitely so. You know, I've had the pleasure of talking to him and hear him talk about taking trains and buses and things, and to feel how fortunate I am to be able to fly first class everywhere I want to go, and to be able to sit in the front of the plane without any problem. I know this is where it all started, and some of the things that they had to go through to make it easier for me today.
Okay, all right. Butch, you were bitter, you know, in the book Negro Voices from the Negro Leagues.
I'm still bitter.
You talk about for 10 or 12 years after you stopped playing ball, basically you were bitter because you didn't make it all the way to the major leagues.
That wasn't why I was bitter.
Okay, why?
I was bitter because nobody ever saw fit to give me a cup of coffee to go to spring training. Because see, when I hit that first time I went to the Braves minor league camp in Myrtle Beach, Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, and West Culverton, and I can't think of the little guy who played third base for the Mets. They all were there, rookies, and the minimum salary was $6,000, and that's what they asked for me, $6,000. And so I had to go back and play that next year, and I get $392 to get out of that. But getting back to Pittsburgh, but after I did that and played with Columbus, here come Pittsburgh again. And I love Columbus to hit out of that ballpark. That was a good hitting ballpark for me. Havana Cuba was in the league. Kessler was still in the Hills, and Batista was president. And when the Cubans come to Richmond to play, they had more to stay in the black hotels than the white hotels. I think in '55 there were 2 people, white people, to stay in the hotel, and one of them played here was Clint Hawthorne, who was the pitcher first baseman for the Nashville Braves, and Johnny Lippon. And I really thought about it. But the people, and it was segregated. My wife sat on the first base side, which was good because I could keep an eye on her because I was playing first base. And but the wives of the other team did not know that my wife was there that year. We had a reunion in 1980, And then from teams that played in 55 up to 65, which was Yankees part, and my wife and those wives had such a good time, and then one of them said, "Were you here in 55? And she pointed to the stand and said, "Yeah, I'm sitting right up there." And they didn't even know that she was there. But Pittsburgh tried to get rid of me from Columbus. So I told Branch Rickey Jr., I said, he wanted to send me to Mexico. I told him, "No, I'm not going to Mexico. I don't speak Spanish, and my wife don't speak Spanish." So when I got home, my dad was having a fit, in which I think my dad was the greatest guy ever was for 8th grade education. My dad, if I knew and could do the things that what my dad did, I would be something else now. I might be where Vice Mayor is.
All right. Let me do this. I know you all have some questions that you all would like to ask the panel members. And here's a mic here, and just ask if you come up to it and just state your name while you when you ask your question. Mr. Zapp? Yes. What moment do you remember most about the Negro Leagues? Any particular moment? Was it the World Series that you all won?
You mean in my career?
In your career?
The picture that you just showed me crossing home plate, that was a home run that I hit against Kansas City in the third game of the playoffs, in the 9th inning. I came up with 2 men on, but whoever was hitting in front of me got on base by about an error. And Buck O'Neill said, "No, I never should come to plate." But I came up with 2 outs, and he had 2 strikes on me. The ace pitcher was pitching by the name of Jim Lamar, and he had 2 strikes. I was guessing curveball, but threw me a fastball, and I hung a half swung. So he had 2 strikes on me. So then I'm just waiting for anything to come across the plate then. And he threw me a fastball right down the middle, and I hit it over left center field fence in Memphis. That was my greatest thrill in the Negro Leagues.
Okay. Bill Roberts?
I'm Bill Roberts. I used to be a sports writer with the Nashville Banner. It's now defunct. But I worked for Freddie Russell for 40 years. Well, for 20, then he died, and then I worked for another one. But anyway, what I wanted to ask these gentlemen, have you ever heard of the Bushwicks?
Yeah, we all played that.
Yeah, well,
we had to play that.
They played Negro teams all the time, traveling teams.
Right.
They stayed. It's out on Long Island somewhere. I forget exactly what town it was. But
we always said they froze the balls up there. They put them in the ice box. When the black teams go into Bushwick, you didn't see many home runs. It was 3-1, 3-2, 2-1. We got them out of Bushwick one year when I was playing with Baltimore, and they played them in Philadelphia, and we beat them 15-1.
Yeah, well, they made a lot of money because playing black teams as they traveled around. As I understand it, they made a lot of money, the Bushwicks. The integration of baseball really did them in. Because as long as they were going to Ebbets Field, where I spent my whole life until I came down here, they made a lot of money. But the integration and Willie Mays, and they came into Brooklyn and from the Giants, and you remember Larry Doby?
Larry Doby, yeah.
Larry Doby was the first black in the American League.
Yeah.
Played with Cleveland. Played with Cleveland.
Can I say something about Larry Doby? Larry Doby didn't play minor league ball. He went straight from Negro League to Cleveland. And when we had our fundraiser at TSU, I got to talk to him, and it was almost the same situation of Jackie. And I asked him, I said, "Larry, how did they treat you when you went to Cleveland?" He said, "The first day I walked in there, nobody said a thing to me and nobody spoke to me." Now, can you picture that? Yeah. Now, they did Jackie the same way.
I know. Jackie went into a terrible thing, when he first came up. Branch Rickey told him he'd have to take everything that they gave him, and they were stomping on his feet at first base and throwing at his head. And as he come in for the double play, they'd hit him in the head or try to. And it was very, very bad. And then after the first year, Branch Rickey told him, don't take it anymore. Just go out and play your game, and if they try that stuff, give it right back to them. And he did. And I remember seeing him in downtown Brooklyn. I wasn't there, but I saw it on television. That when he retired, he was an old man, he had diabetes, and it just, I cried, because he was one of the great baseball. You know, Jackie Robinson, he couldn't have been a better man to integrate baseball than Jackie Robinson, because he's such a good player. I mean, Campanella was good, but Jackie Robinson was a civil rights guy.
Right.
And he was very interested in furthering the black people all over the country as far as civil rights are concerned. Campanella, no, he was a good fella. He loved everybody, but he wasn't interested in that stuff. And but I spent many of my days at Ebbets Field, and Jackie Robinson, Red Barber was the announcer. And he, when I wasn't at the field, he would describe Robinson just wonderful. He's a great baseball announcer, Red Barber. And Robinson was real black, you know. Campanella wasn't real black.
Can I ask you a trivial question?
Jackie was as black as the ace of spades, man. He was real black. Campanella wasn't.
Okay.
Can I ask you a trivial question?
Bill?
I think Campanella had an Italian father or something like that.
Who hit the first home run in the American League? Black.
Yeah, Dobie.
No.
No?
No. Y'all get it?
Reggie Smith?
Huh? Who?
Wasn't Reggie Smith, was it?
Oh, no. Not even Dave Pope. It was Willard Brown.
Willard Brown, man, he played with the Giants.
He and Hank Thompson was trying out with the St. Louis Browns.
Oh.
And he hit a home run. He didn't even have a bat. And he borrowed a white player's bat. He hit a home run. When they come in, guess what? The white player broke the bat.
Any others? Anybody else?
Yeah.
Thank you. And your name?
My name's Josh. What were you guys? My name's Josh Kent. What were you guys like when you were my age?
And how old are you?
10.
You 10? You want to know where I was?
No, what were you like at 10?
I stayed on the plantation in East Nashville. Oh, only kid, folks. but really, when I was his age, from 1929 to 1939, I was raised on Boston, and any segregation and all, it won't believe the way I was raised. I stayed at this place. My daddy's boss man was named Frank Harris. He owned the wholesale dry goods store on the square, right there where you go across the bridge. What is that, Memorial Bridge? Mm-hmm. And this place at one time must have been a real nice place, because it took up a 30, but it even had a rock iron fence. And this man took my daddy in, and he took us out of North 7th Street, which I said the greatest invention of the 20th century is when they took me out of there and we got away from that outhouse and had a bathroom.
But Butch, tell him what he wants to know.
I'm going to tell him. I'm trying to.
Okay.
I'm trying to.
Sorry.
By me staying at this place on Boswell Street, this man took me in like his son and my dad. They were more friends than employer and what's it. It was during the Depression from 1929 to 39. That's where I actually learned how to play ball. I had to go 4 blocks to play with black kids. And we had our own field of dreams. That place had 2 guards. When the garden cleaned up, we had our own field of dreams. You know what that is? Where we had, you see that? Where we made our own ball field. And my friends were white boys. We would walk to Suffolk Dale every Saturday when they were in town because they gave away threw away a baseball if they won. And I had to sit in the bleachers out there, and the white bleachers in right there. So I would sit right on this end to the white bleachers with my white friends, and we still wasn't separated. It was just that balance. And so hoping that Nashville would win, Tommy Tatum, Gus Dugas, Greek George, John Mahalik, all those guys was playing. And we'd hope they'd win because we know they're going to throw up a ball. And we would rush out to get that ball so we could go home. And I would watch all those various guys come in to play in Suffolk Dale, and I'd watch them bat. And I would go home and imitate it the same way Charlie Sifford did in golf, caddy, and he watched those good golfers, and that's the way he learned how to play golf. And that's the way I learned how to play. But it was a long time before I learned fundamentals and all that stuff. Even football. Okay. The football wasn't that big. It was what you passing when I was a kid. It was blunt on the end. I learned how to drop kick. They drop kick. I don't think you know what that is.
But Chuck Merriweather, what were you doing when you were this young man's age, at 10?
Well, Josh, let me just tell you, I hope that I was just enjoying life like you should be. This is some of the best times in your life because you really don't have problems right now. You may think just going to school and having to do homework are problems, but enjoy your life because once you get up and get married and start having kids, and I love my wife and family very much, but their problems become my problems. So, it just adds on to everything. But I just hope that I was enjoying life, and that's what you should do. Okay?
I want to tell the young man.
All right, Mr. Bunch.
All that they've been said and talked about, the greatest sport on earth is baseball. Every town, city you go in got a baseball field. Even the churches got a baseball field. So always remember, the greatest sport on earth is baseball. It kept me from going to the majors. I had to go to Korea, but we played baseball. And bullet ball too, dodging.
Okay.
But baseball is your greatest sport. Don't care what town you go in or what. It'll be behind the barn, across the railroad tracks, or in the field, baseball.
Okay, Mrs. Zapp.
Yeah.
Well, even though I didn't make the major league, I owe everything to Jackie Robinson.
Okay. Let me ask you, he wants, at 10 years of age, and then we'll let you come back and talk about Jackie, but he wants to know, what were you doing at 10 years of age? You said you didn't start playing baseball until you were really 19? But at 10, what were you doing?
In the swimming hole in the swimming hole way at the end of 4th Avenue North.
All right.
The brickyard, that's where I was.
All right.
Let me tell you something else, kid.
Okay.
Let the man go.
That my dad, I was old enough to go to school, like you. My dad took me to school every day in a Pierce Arrow. I don't think anybody here know what that is. It was a luxury car. That's what, and I don't know what the people thought of me, but until I got able to like you, got up to where I could go on myself, go to school by myself. Do y'all remember the soapbox derby? No. They had a soapbox derby on the shelf every time. I even had a soapbox derby.
Okay. I think the Vice Mayor, thank you for your question. Did you have another one? Yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah. You also have the right cap on.
Right. This is a wonderful panel discussion, even though you have absolutely no control over Butch.
I can't help it. I'm almost 80 years old, man.
That's right. Nobody else does either.
Vice Mayor, I had no control over him last.
I know, and I have none over him either. But I want to say to the audience that I have, and a lot of us in this room have the honor of having grown up in a city where these guys are our legends. They are our mentors and our legends, and they have really, they've talked about a lot of people, but they paved the way for us because we got to see and touch them on a regular basis, and Zap keeps up with my weight gain and tells me about it all the time, and I appreciate it. What I want to say is that I want to ask a question. We talk about Jackie Robinson, Willie Mays, and everybody, and you mentioned Buck O'Neil because he was in town Wednesday, and probably half people in here didn't get to hear him, and probably have not read about him. And I'd like for y'all to let us know the importance of Buck O'Neil to baseball, not only Negro baseball, but to integration. And also, and Butch, don't start on this second question before we do the first one, because you get hot about this one. I would like for you to talk about the reason that we see a reduced number of African Americans, not people of color, but African Americans in Major League Baseball today, opposed to years ago. Thank you.
And we'll give brief answers, and every Butch, you want to start with Buck O'Neil?
Well, Buck O'Neil, I don't know if you, yeah, you should have saw him when he came out scouting when I was helping your old coach at TSU. But Buck was an inspiration. He put Ernie Banks and Lou Brock into the Major League. And he's got a book out now, what is it, Lad, Just on Time?
Yeah, I was right on time. Yeah. I was right on time. Yeah.
If you ever see, he said, I was a part of Hank Thompson. I was a part of Jackie Robinson. I was a part of Monty Irvin. I was a part of so and so and so. The reason they got there looked like I'm just on time, and that's Buck O'Neil. See, I have a number of reasons to say where there's blacks not playing anymore. For one reason, like I said, say, for instance, that the revenue sports were baseball and basketball, football, and basketball was the major sport, but minor money. What do you think would happen? That's a hypothetical question. But you have to think about that.
Okay, Butch, let's get Mrs. Zapp and Mr. Bunch tell why is Buck O'Neil so important? Why should people know about Buck O'Neil in your opinion?
But he scouted me.
Well, he scouted you?
Yeah, he's the man that sent the 2 men after me. Okay. I was playing with Mr. Griswold, but he said 2 white fellas. And he told me, he says, Bunch? I said, yeah. So you had a good night, so you were wearing that ball out. Zapp was playing downfield with me. Scared me. I got that there, look.
All right.
They're not policemen, so they told me who he was, so I'll give all my credit to Buck O'Neil. Okay. I wasn't but 16 years old. All
right. Mr. Zapp?
From the 1948 team, Kansas City Monarchs, I think Buck sent about 5 or 6 straight to the majors. There was Elson Howard, Hank Thompson, Gene Baker, Curtis Roberts, and somebody else. That's when I first met Buck, was 1948. But in recent years, we became great friends. Buck knows the game of baseball. He has a sound mind, just like he did 50 years ago.
And he's 93 now.
Beg pardon?
He's 93 years of age now. He's 93 now.
Yeah, 93 years old, yeah, 93, yeah. See, when I first met him, he wasn't playing. He was just a manager. He'd play every now and then, but he had another boy playing first base by the name of Tom Cooper. But he also, just about everybody from that team went to the majors or AAA ball.
Okay. Let me ask Mr. Merriweather, and if you want to talk about, say something about Buck O'Neil, go ahead. But let me ask you this. You're there now. You're in the majors. And like the Vice Mayor said, it seems like, you know, Butch has said it for years and years now. We don't see that many African Americans playing baseball. What, in your opinion, do you notice it when you're calling the balls and strikes?
Well, first, let me go back to Buck, if I could. From the first 10 years of my career, I was in the American League. So I was going to Kansas City, where Buck lives, quite a bit. And very often I would try to go down to the Negro League Baseball Hall of Fame, and every day you go down there, Buck's down there. And let me tell you, to walk in that place and see the number of people around him just listening to stories, you wouldn't believe. A couple of years ago, Buck threw out the first pitch in Kansas City, and he was standing there at home plate, and he threw the ball very well to be 93 years of age. So it's always a pleasure to spend time with him and talk to him. I think the question about the youth playing baseball today, I think, and this is a lot for the kids, you see television so much, and you see the money they're making, and the basketball players, football players, and baseball players alike. But I think with baseball, it's a sport where if it's basketball, you just got the basketball goal and the basketball, and that's all you need. In baseball, you have to have the uniform, bats and balls that are very expensive, or uniforms and stuff. And it goes back, you have to have the coaches. That's a big part of it. Not only the kids, we have to get out and help them and participate with them. And to the young people, professional sports and being in sports is very important. But anytime I go to talk to any group, you have to finish your education. You have to have something to fall back on, because there's always somebody out there that can replace you. Derek Jeter, his days are just numbered. If he gets hurt, if you tear ACL or something in your knee or something in your ankle, there's somebody out there to replace you. So make sure you finish college so you have something to fall back on if the professional sports don't work out for you.
Okay, thank you. Okay. And your name?
Noah Manskar. This is for Mr. Bunch. What was your football career like with the? What was your football career like with the in Canada?
What was your football career like in Canada?
Nice.
You played wide receiver, or?
I went to Winnipeg, and I went there as a kicking specialist. I was going to go back to Tennessee State. They found out that I could run and catch the ball. They made a tight end out of it. They don't block over there, brother. When you cross the line, you're wide open out there.
All right. Okay. Okay. Do you have another question?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
This is for Mr. Merriweather. As a Red Sox fan, I just wanted to ask you, what were you feeling umpiring the '04 World Series?
Well, it's quite a good experience, and I think if you're familiar with Fenway Park at all in Boston, what they call the Green Monster out there, if you look at that wall during the regular season, they have all the scores from all the major league teams that are playing that night. And when we were standing there at home plate before the second game of the World Series, one of the umpires made a comment. He said, you know, I really didn't get nervous till I looked out at the Green Monster, and there was nothing else up on that Green Monster, and we realized right then that that was the only game being played, and that's when the butterflies really start floating in the stomach. But it was a great experience. Boston is a great town. They always draw well there, and you know, I won't say that I'm glad Boston won, but they've had the jinx for many, many years, so I know they were glad to get that over with, but it was quite an experience.
Okay.
I don't want them to go out here thinking that one reason why black kids are not playing. There's a number of reasons why black kids are not playing. The first, number one, was the white flight from the inner cities to the suburbs. Second, it's easy to put basketball goals and tennis courts because it doesn't take up much room. So they can put more condominium, hospitals, shopping centers, so they leave out playgrounds for the kids. That's one reason. If the education could ever, and the recreation center could ever get together and don't have to pay to be on the same payroll, but get a program where when you get out of school, we got a program for you. Then that would help a whole lot and alleviate a lot of crime. Now the other reason is that basketball, football are revenue sports, and they're not exciting. So when the black kid get ready to go to the school, he'll play little league ball. And see, you don't have to have a whole team and all this equipment that you play. All you need is 2 people to play. You can share balls like you do golf ball. One pitch to it and hit the ball and go out there. You play one-eye catch. You don't have to have 18 men to play a baseball. But most the under impression these kids, where you learn how to play is through free play. That's where you need basketball players are so good. You're constantly bouncing that ball. They go by my house bouncing that ball, and when I went up the street one day and going up toward Warden School, and I saw a kid coming down the street with a uniform and he had a catcher's mitt, and I almost run into a post. I didn't believe it.
All right. Our next question comes from Ornette Bodenhammer, who's the newly elected president of the local NAACP.
Thanks, Dwight.
And also a member of the National Sports Council.
I had the privilege, pleasure, and honor when Butch was playing ball in Hatley Park. I was the guy that when he came off the field, that got his glove. You know how youngsters, and because let me tell you, Butch was one of the greatest baseball players that I've ever seen. I never saw Zap play, but Sidney and I would Pearl together. He's older than me, but I saw him play. Let me tell you a little anecdote about Butch. About 5 years ago, I had most of the black Negro or Negro players out at UNA. I had Mr. Kimbrough, Zap, Doc Dennis, Kimbrough, and there was one other, Rob Abernathy.
Eddie Brooks.
Yeah, but the story was Butch threw out the first ball for the 9-10-year-old championship team that they were playing for the state. And when they announced him, they says, Butch McCord from the old Negro League, little white kid over here turned around to the coach and he said, "What's a Negro?" But you all are looking at some great history. I'm fortunate enough, or was fortunate enough, to see most of them play. I see Brother Sadler up there, who played also at Pearl when Sidney was playing. There's probably some others that were there, but I'll tell you, they deserve a great round of applause. Butch is telling you a lot of things, but Hatley Park is where most of us learn how to play baseball. There was a guy we called Jam Up, Rouse, who taught us out at Hatley Park. And I know what Butch is saying when he talks about his father. I remember his father, how he used to escort Butch to the ballpark, what have you. But you're looking at history, and whatever segregation did, it really hurt some of these guys. And I don't think you should be sorry, because a lot of you don't know anything about it, especially you, Joe Biddle. But anyway, I'm just happy that I had the opportunity to see these guys play and do what they do. Now, I kicked Zap and Butch on the golf course. Thank you very much.
Okay. We have about 2 more minutes, so we'll get as many questions in and brief answers.
My name is Joe. I wondered,
your last name?
There's a lot of controversy today about steroid use and bulking up and all that. Any of you guys got a funny story about gimmicks that they might have used in your day? The little one-upmanship? Did they grease the ball? Did they weight the bat? Any stories you want to tell us about some of the gimmicks?
We didn't have no money, so you don't have to worry about no steroid drugs. We might have got drunk, but we didn't have no money to buy no steroids.
Any cork in the bats or anything like that?
I'll tell you about the steroids, and you won't forget it. We never heard of it. And our steroids was white beans, cornbread, and pig feet.
He said their steroids were white beans, pig feet, and cornbread. All right.
And a big onion if you had one.
Mrs. Zapp, you hit the ball a long way. Did anybody ever think you were doing something to the back?
Let me tell you something about him before he stands.
All right.
He hit the longest one ever been hit in Sufferdale. Over that scoreboard, it landed in Charlie Nickens. That was the barbecue on Jefferson.
All right.
The longest home run ever been hit down there.
That's Sidney talking now.
Yeah. I was playing with him.
You got a bad reputation.
All right. Okay, Rob.
My name is Michael Woods, and I too want to echo the sentiments of some of the people who have gone forth in regard to giving honor to this golden treasure. My question was, and I'm interested in the economic impact that the Negro Leagues had on each city. I would like for each one of you to tell me about the cities that you went into and how that affected you. And a two-part question is, the All-Star teams that were selected, how were they selected, and talk about your each one of you, if you ever played in one, to give us a little short story about that.
He wants to know the impact. Back in the old Negro Leagues, you all stayed in, you couldn't stay at the hotels.
No.
In the white-owned hotels. So you had to stay in rooming houses.
Right.
And eat at black-owned restaurants.
Right.
And then somebody was telling the story that Mr. Buck O'Neill the other night was saying that you chimed your trips so that you wouldn't go through the small southern cities at night, that you made it to the larger cities in the daytime so you could go to the black service stations. What economic impact did the old Negro Leagues have on cities such as Nashville or Baltimore or Detroit?
Yeah.
Well, if you realize that back in the 30s and 40s, for Essence magazine and Jet, all this black enterprise, before we got some money, Negro League baseball was our third biggest industry. The number one was Madam Walker. I guess you women know about
Madam C.J. Walker.
That was number one. She was the first black millionaire. And number two was insurance, Atlanta Life, North Carolina Mutual, and then came black baseball. So you always heard, where's the Negro area across the railroad track? But not in Nashville, because blacks live on all sides in Nashville. We can say that about Nashville. But most small towns, they'd say, where's the Negro? Across the railroad track. but we depended on what's so bad, the entertainers, they were in the same shape. Lena Horne, Bojangles, Lionel Hampton, they had to stay in the same black hotels that we did. They couldn't eat in the restaurants and same thing. So that was money that we brought to the neighborhood. We had our own service station, we had our own hospitals, we had our own drugstores, hotels, and all that. You don't have that anymore. Everybody want to work with somebody now, get the benefits. But that's one thing I hate, that we were not entrepreneurs, that we don't, nobody want to own any more business. See, then black business sponsored the Negro League teams. And when we went to town, like he said, we tried to stay in the best. I had the bad opportunity to witness when I was playing with Nashville. We went into Homer, Louisiana, and they told us we couldn't dress at the ballpark. And we done rode 200 miles to play down there. And so we decided, we'd had to dress on the bus, so we decided to go up in the stands and see, y'all missing a whole lot of stuff here that needs to be told, and we don't have the time to tell. We went up in the stands, and the sheriff came in there and said, get those so-and-so down there. We didn't know what they're talking about, because we didn't know we got dressed. So we knew when the ball game over, we got to ride to our next stop in our uniform, find them some rooming houses had 4 tubs where we could take a bath and where we could eat. And you know what that was to run around there? You ever heard of reckless eyeball? And they say we sitting up there looking at a white swimming pool by the other end of this library.
Okay.
And that sounds silly, don't it?
All right. Okay. We have time for maybe 1 or 2 questions, but okay. Okay, come on. Okay.
My name is Betty Jean Forrester, and I think Butch McCord will be glad to know that in Richmond, Virginia, My uncle and my cousin have been with the Richmond Municipal League, which is attempting to have the financial support that will involve a number of families and their sons in the development of their skills with baseball. They've been able to have a nice golf tournament that raises money, and they get money from any people that have more money than they do. So I'm happy that the change is coming a little bit in Richmond, Virginia. The question that I have is RBI here in Nashville. I would like for the people here today to know a little bit more about it, and I too would like to know about RBI.
Okay, let's do this because our time is running short. Reggie Whitmore is up in the back up there, and after this session is over, we'll let you get him. And Reggie, please, if you have any information, please pass it out. And just give us your number real quick where people can call you.
My number is 642-2839, and I run an in-city youth baseball program here in town. I know a lot of you don't know much about it, but we need to do a better job of getting the word out. And we've got a lot of people that are supporting us, and we need everybody's support. And I've been left with the task of trying to revive this sport thanks to these guys down here. Thanks for all the work I got to do, but I'm up for the challenge.
Okay.
I really want to do this.
So we'll get with you afterward, and so you can get your number. Okay, I think we have time for one more question. And since we have about 2 minutes left, we'll need a quick answer. Okay.
My name is Wayne Lambert, and I'm a big fan of the Negro Leagues. I'd like to say you guys are in great company today. Unfortunately, with the Negro Leagues basically falling apart in 1950, we only have around 40 current living Negro League players that played before 1950. 3 of them on the stage here, right with us today. Butch McCord actually went in 1948 to play with the Baltimore Elite Giants, a team that started here in Nashville by a guy by the name of Tom Wilson. When he played on that team, there were probably 3 Hall of Famers in the infield when he was out in right field. The pitcher was Joe Black, who was a 1949 Rookie of the Year. I mean, there was some greatness up on stage here. Remember when Jackie integrated, a lot of teams didn't integrate. The Red Sox, they did win the World Series this year, the last team to integrate. There's probably a reason why they didn't win the World Series for so many years. Last team to integrate. But I just like to say, some of the guys, just to read some stats up here, I mean, Jim Zapp in 90 games had 32 home runs, he batted 290. Another year he batted 311 with 29 home runs in 89 games. These are in the minor leagues. Butch McCord, as you know, he batted 292, actually batted 392, had 109 RBIs, 22 stolen bases, and collected 102 walks that year while scoring 132 runs. I actually was with him in an airport. We saw Frank Howard, the great first baseman. He actually came up, hugged Butch, said, "This is the man who taught me how to play first base. I owe a lot to this guy." And Butch looked at him and said, "Yeah, I didn't teach you half of what I knew because you didn't play nearly as well as I did at first base." And if you go back and talk to Frank Howard, he will say that he was a shadow of what Butch could do at first base. So I would just like to thank you guys for coming out today, and it's an honor to be in the same room with you guys.
Unfortunately, our time has run out.
Just a little short question I want to tell the audience.
Okay.
If you can't make it in Nashville, you can't make it nowhere. Amen. Nashville is the greatest city in the United States.
All right.
Somebody gonna give you a piece of bread if you want it.
All right.
Always remember, Nashville #1. When I got discharged, they said, "Butch, you gonna stay out in California with us?" I said, "Yeah, as soon as I can get to 12 years."
All right. Well, I just want to echo what the gentleman here said. These are some legends, all 4 of them. You look and see what they've done, not only on the baseball field, but just in general. And they're all available to sign autographs anytime or to speak to you at any time. And Butch, and I've been knowing Butch for probably longer than any of the others, and he's worked with youngsters of all colors. And he's always encouraging people to go to the ballpark, go see the Sounds play, go pick up a baseball and play baseball. I want to thank you all for coming out. I'm sure the library thanks you for coming out. And it's been a pleasure once again to stand before these men, and I thank you. Andrea?
Thank you, Dwight. Why don't we show our appreciation for Dwight Lewis for a wonderful job in moderating this panel. I would like to just mention a few things. Please don't forget the reception. We've got hot dogs and peanuts and Cracker Jacks right across the hall in the conference room. And the second thing is, I also would like to thank Metro Archives for their wonderful help in doing the PowerPoint presentation, the Nashville room, and also Mr. Larry Walker. Where are you, Mr. Walker? I know you're here. Okay, Mr. Walker, stand for us. Mr. Walker used to own the Negro League shop on Jefferson Street, and once you go into the reception, you'll see a lot of pieces that he owned, and I had to sign with them for blood, sweat, and tears. So if you're interested in them, his contact information is there. On behalf of the Nashville Public Library and the Nashville Room, thank you for coming, and have a great night.